Scoey. It's been 14 years. It's time to return. Way too long since we last stepped into the jungle. We know it's been a while, but we also know you're ready for this. Today, we dive back into Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater, and to see if it still stands as one of the greatest stealth adventures of all time.
I wanted to go back and play a classic, and not just any classic, one of my all-time favourite series growing up, Metal Gear Solid, but not just any version. I wanted to dive into the 2023 Master Collection, which bundles up the remastered 2004 version of Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. A bit of a time capsule really, and honestly, I was equal parts excited and terrified. Terrified because I've been holding onto my nostalgia like the Philosopher's Legacy, and I wasn't sure if revisiting would make me go, ah yes, this is a timeless masterpiece, or this is a pile of shit. Back when I first played it, this game felt like perfection. Every little mechanic had me in awe. Whether it was pinging the sonar to stop the bats dive bombing Snake's head, or that incredible boss fight with The End, where you could literally save mid-boss fight, come back, and the old guy had dragged you back to the cell just to spite you. Stuff like that made it feel light years ahead in 2004. Kojima wasn't just making a stealth game, he was making art with a pinch of weirdness. So, what intrigued me most about going back? Simple. With the release of Metal Gear Solid Delta, I wanted to go back to see if the original stood the test of time. This is a Hideo Kojima game, and when Kojima makes a game, you're not just playing stealth missions, you're signing up for fourth wall breaking radio calls, bizarre mechanics involving crocodile hats, and a serious amount of camouflage based menu management. It's tactical, it's stealthy, and it rewards you for thinking ahead. Though yes, you can run around spraying bullets like an 80s action hero, but if you do, just know you're not playing Snake. You're Rambo. Going into this, I knew the series inside out. I've played all the Metal Gear games. That's part of the reason why I've avoided Snake Eater for the past 14 years, because those fond memories are almost sacred. I didn't want to break the illusion by discovering it had aged worse than my PS2 fan, but here we are in 2025, and I finally picked it up on the PS5 through the Master Collection. The question I'm here to answer is this: does Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater still stand tall on its own two legs, or should you skip straight to the flashy new remake? Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, that was released on the 26th of August. So let's set the scene. It's 1964, the Cold War is in full swing, and you've just dropped into the jungle as a Fox operative, Naked Snake. Your mission? Rescue a rocket scientist named Sokolov, sabotage a giant walking nuclear tank, because why wouldn't that be a thing in the 60s? And oh yeah, assassinate your former boss. That's right, Snake's former mentor, the person who trained him, defect into the Soviet Union. Already, that's a heavy setup. Now, for the story itself, it's still engaging today, as it was back in 2004. Playing it through again, I realised how much of it still holds up. Though, I've got to be honest, some of those cutscenes do drag a little. Kojima was clearly auditioning for his first spot as a film director. Sometimes you're sitting there thinking, wow, this is incredible. Other times you're thinking, do I have time to make a quick sandwich while Snake stares longingly into the distance? The overall plot flow is solid, even if Metal Gear is the series that loves to wrap itself in a web of clones, conspiracies, and this guy is that guy's secret DNA experiment. Snake Eater technically comes first, so if you're trying to play chronologically, prepare your brain to do somersaults. Back when I was 14, a lot of the political themes and portrayals went completely over my head. Revisiting now, I find myself catching things I never really processed the first time. Either I've matured or I've watched way too many YouTube lore breakdowns in the last decade. Probably a bit of both. What really hits home though, is the emotional weight. This isn't just a spy thriller, it's a story about loyalty, sacrifice, and what it costs to truly stay true to the mission. Facing off against your former mentor, knowing why she defected, and then that gut punch ending. It's still one of the most powerful conclusions in gaming, and it's a reminder that Kojima knows how to make you laugh at cardboard box one moment, and then break your heart in the next. As for choice, this isn't a branching narrative like a Telltale game. The story's mostly linear, but there are little variations depending on how you'd like to tackle boss fights. Go lethal, go non-lethal. Experiment with gadgets. You'll be rewarded with unique camo patterns or even special weapons, like snagging the End's Mosin Nagant sniper if you play your cards right. It doesn't change the fate of the world, but it is satisfying. And yes, the story kept me hooked all over again. The collectibles, the Easter eggs, only add to the replay value. Finding all those Keratant frogs to unlock the stealth camouflage, absolute pain, but also absolute must-do. It's part of the charm. A mix of cinematic espionage and, okay, but also, let me shoot some plastic frogs across the map. If there's one thing that Kojima never skimps on, it's characters. And Snake Eater is packaged with some of the most memorable in the series. Are they believable? Well, sort of. Believable in the sense that you'll never forget them, but also extravagant enough that if you ever walked into your local Tesco's, you'd quietly leave your trolley and head for the door. That's part of Metal Gear's charm. Though, the big personalities, the dramatic posing, the cheesy one-liners, it's all a little over the top, but it fits perfectly in Kojima's strange cinematic world. You'll see echoes of this style even in Death Stranding, the Amazon Prime simulator. Ocelot is easily my favourite here. Watching his origin story unfold is brilliant. The smug revolver spinning, meow energy, the fact that you can already see him turning into the absolute wildcard he becomes later in the series. Fun fact, years ago I was part of a fanfiction Metal Gear short film project. Let's say it involved a questionable Ocelot impression, some dodgy editing, and years of misplaced confidence. Thankfully, that video is long lost to time, and trust me, that's a blessing for everyone. As for caring about the character's journey, absolutely. From the prologue where you first meet the boss, you're instantly hooked. Why she defected, and what's really driving her. Then there's Eva, who keeps you second guessing her true motives, and the mysterious Adam who, let's be real, and had me muttering who the f is Adam, and of course, the Cobra Unit. Each boss fight feels like an event, not just another health bar. They're weird, unique, and unforgettable. The dialogue, meanwhile, is a mixed bag, but in the most Metal Gear way possible. Yes, it's cheesy. Yes, it's overacted. But then you get these little gems that make you smile. Like every time you save, Paramedic is ready to lecture you on classic films as if Snake is about to start a movie club in the middle of enemy territory. Half of me is stressed about being spotted, the other half is wondering if I should finally watch The Sound of Music. Voice acting though, this is where the game really shines. David Hayter as Snake is iconic. That gravelly growl just is Snake. That's why I'll never get used to Kiefer Sutherland stepping in later as Venom Snake. It's not that he was bad, but it just felt like showing up to a reunion, realising your best mate has been replaced with a Hollywood stunt double. And yes, I know the backstory for Venom Snake. Looking back now in 2025, you can definitely feel the age in some of the characters' work. It's cheesy, dramatic, and occasionally disjointed, but honestly, I wouldn't change it. Metal Gear's identity has always been a mix of serious espionage and glorious B-movie flamboyance, and David Hayter's performance holds it all together, reminding you that no matter how wild it gets, you're still Snake. Gameplay-wise, Snake Eater is a fascinating mix of brilliance and wow, this really shows its age. Back in 2004 and again in 2011 HD release, the mechanics worked beautifully alongside the story. In the 2023 remaster, they've polished things up and made it much smoother to play, but you can still feel some of those clunky early 2000 edges poking through. The weapon and equipment selection, for example, is classic Metal Gear, which means it's clunky. There's nothing like being in the middle of an intense boss fight, getting shot at, and then frantically flicking through your backpack like you're rummaging for snacks on a road trip. The real saving grace here is the addition of the free camera. The original fixed camera angles made stealth an exercise in clairvoyance, but you couldn't always see enemies, but they will always see you. The remastered third-person over-the-shoulder camera is a game changer. It actually makes the whole experience feel playable in 2025. I honestly don't know how I managed it back in the day. Now I've got to confess something. I just can't bring myself to use lethal weapons in Metal Gear. I don't know why. Maybe I'm too attached. Maybe I'm trying to roleplay Snake as a pacifist with a silenced tranquilizer gun. Whatever the reason, I spend most of the game putting everyone to sleep with the Mark 22 Hush Puppy. If you're looking for a Rambo-style run and gun, well, good luck. Controls weren't built for it. Speaking of controls, this is where Snake Eater feels mostly dated. To aim, you hold R1, then aim with the left stick, and then press square to shoot, all while Snake forgets how to strafe. And in boss fights, it's the perfect excuse for me to blame my misses on old controls rather than bad aim. Swimming, even worse, you spam X to move. Thankfully, the game doesn't force you into the water often, because the swimming mechanic is as smooth as a crocodile hat. Combat and exploration are, unsurprisingly, designed for stealth. It's all about your camouflage index, a percentage that tells you how invisible you are. If it's at 85%, you're practically a jungle ninja. If it's at 10%, you're basically wearing neon in a forest. Exploration is fairly linear, taking you from A to B with the occasional side tour for camo, face paint, or collectibles. The boss fights add flavour here, especially if you beat them non-lethally. Do that and you'll unlock a special rewards, like unique camouflage, or the end sniper rifle. That's the kind of system that makes replaying sections feel rewarding. The standout mechanic for me has always been the stamina management. Snake needs to eat, whether it's rations you find, fruit you knock off the tree, or even, of course, snakes. The lower your stamina, the more your aim wobbles, and the worse you'll perform in combat. It's a brilliant touch that makes the survival aspect feel real. It's not just about sneaking past guards, it's about keeping Snake fed and alive. And then there's the end fight. It's not just a highlight in Snake Eater, it's one of the most unique boss fights in gaming history. A battle of patience, sniping, and pure tension. It's proof how to make gameplay and narrative can blend to create something unforgettable. Overall, the gameplay doesn't really evolve too much beyond giving you more equipment as you go. But for me, that was enough. I had my trusty tranquilizer, a growing wardrobe of camo, and an endless supply of patience. or maybe just stubbornness. Either way, it worked. Just want to take this moment and ask, if you're finding this review useful, please consider thumbing up the video and subscribing to help find your way back for future reviews. Thank you. When it comes to immersion, I'll be honest, I was hooked. Metal Gear Solid 3's world has this uncanny way of pulling you into its atmosphere. Every rustle of the jungle feels alive and every codec call feels urgent. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't occasionally get pulled out of that trance by the famously long cutscenes. Don't get me wrong, they're iconic. They set the tone and they're part of what makes Metal Gear, Metal Gear. But there were times where I just wanted to shout at the screen, "Kojima, please, just let me play." It's this weird duality where you're simultaneously immersed in the story and itching to get back into the gameplay. A very Metal Gear problem to have. Now, for a game where that's just set in the jungle, you'd expect the environments to get repetitive fast, but no, they're surprisingly diverse and memorable. One moment you're trudging through dense undergrowth, the next you're scaling rocky mountain paths, and even sterile interiors of a warehouse feeling distinct in their own way. And then there's the final boss battle with the boss. Visually, it's breathtaking. The field of lilies, petals drifting with every move you make. It's cinematic in a way that few games even now can pull off. It's the kind of setting that gets burned into your memory long after the credits roll. The visuals also work beautifully with the story's espionage tone. The mix of gritty realism and surreal spy thriller vibes just clicks. A lot of your focus inevitably shifts to gameplay mechanics such as stealth, camouflage, survival, so sometimes the environment fades into the backdrop. But then you'll have the moments where the jungle isn't just scenery, it's gameplay, hiding in tree stumps, crawling through bushes, or even blending into the grass with the right camo. The world feels like it's designed to play with you. That said, not everything is perfect. Some of the areas show their age, especially in the more open sections like the mountaintops. Textures feel dated, and a few cutscene quirks break the immersion. Eyelids flickering, mouths twitching awkwardly, that sort of thing. It's the curse of remastering. Slap a new coat of paint on, and suddenly the cracks show a little more clearly. Also, and I can't not mention this, Snake's glorious beard somehow sprouts a single rogue hair on his cheek, visible only during cutscenes. It's so oddly specific it became a minigame of its own for me. Spot the stray snake hair. As for art style, honestly, it holds up. The character designs, the tone, the way the world is stylized, it feels timeless. Sure, if you look too closely at the distant backdrops, or expect the fidelity of a 2025 release, it's starting to show its age. But in terms of style, this is Kojima at his peak. It's not just graphics for graphics' sake, it's atmosphere, it's personality, and that's what makes it endure. If gameplay is what keeps you playing, then audio is what keeps you feeling. And my god, Snake Eater nails this. The soundtrack is unforgettable, and I don't just mean memorable, I mean burned into your brain forever. The moment the opening theme kicks in, with its Bond-style flair, it's impossible not to hum along. Snake Eater. And yes, if you've ever played it, you've whispered those words dramatically to yourself at least once. Don't lie, we've all done it. And of course, the alert theme. That spike of intensity when you've been spotted. It doesn't just sound cool, it actually makes your heart rate jump. Your music isn't just background noise, it actively changes how you play. Sound effects are just as critical, and here they're spot on. If you've seen some of my other reviews, you'll know how much weight I put in soundscapes to really sell immersion, and Metal Gear Solid 3 is perfect. The crunch of the grass under your belly as you crawl, the splash as you wade for a stream, and even the guttural echo of gunfire. They all feel tactile and grounded. And here's the funny thing, I always play non-lethal, so half the time I'm praising the gunshot sounds while making sure I don't actually fire them. The irony is not lost on me. And of course, we can't talk Metal Gear without mentioning voice acting. As mentioned earlier, David Hayter as Snake is, frankly, perfect. Gravelly, iconic, a voice you can recognise with 2 syllables. Is there some nostalgia bias here? Definitely. But it's not just him. Every character feels cast to fit. Even if some of the dialogue borders on so bad it's so good, with the awkward pacing and lines that make you go, really? That's what you're going with. But somehow that just works in Metal Gear. It's flamboyant, it's melodramatic, and it's glorious. The atmosphere created through the audio is second to none. Whether it's sneaking through the forest, tense footsteps echoing around the warehouse, or the subtle hum of cicadas in the jungle, the sound design wraps you in the world. It makes the environment not just something you see, but something you feel. And then there's those iconic moments where silence or music flips a scene into something unforgettable. The most obvious, the ladder scene. You're climbing and climbing and climbing, and then Snake Eater fades in. It's absurd, it's brilliant, and then it turns what should be a boring climb into one of the most memorable gaming moments ever. And don't get me started on the final battle with the boss. When the song swells and the petals scatter across the field, it's dramatic, it's heartbreaking, and it's also sneakily doubles as a gameplay timer to tell you that the 10 minutes are nearly up. That's Kojima for you, part genius, part troll. In the end, the audio isn't just supporting the game, it's elevating it. It's the glue that holds together the stealth, the story, and the world, and honestly, it's why Snake Eater still feels so powerful, even today. When it comes to performance, I've got no complaints. On the PS5, the remaster of Snake Eater runs at a smooth 60 FPS. No crashes, no stutters, no bugs creeping in to ruin the immersion, which is a relief when you're sneaking through a jungle, trying not to get spotted. If you're playing this in 2025, it feels stable, clean, and reliable. That said, smooth frame rate doesn't mean smooth gameplay. Let's talk menus, because, oh boy, the menus are clunky. Basic loadout screen itself is fine, but the actual equipment system, that's where it all falls apart. To swap weapons or equipment, you've got to hold down L2 or R2 and scroll. It's manageable if you're strolling casually through the jungle, but the second you're in an alert phase, or worse, mid-boss fight, it's a nightmare. Add the fact that aiming down sight is tied to this weird, awkward setup. Hold R1, aim with the stick, square to shoot, while leaning with R2 at the same time if you need to. And yes, it takes some getting used to. By the end of the game, it feels natural, but the learning curve is rough. Now, to give credit where credit is due, the camouflage system is brilliant. I love how it ties directly into stealth. Each camo gives you a percentage rating of how hidden you are, and with the right setup you can basically vanish in plain sight. It adds strategy to the game and makes hunting down new camos, whether hidden in the environment or earned through non-lethal boss takedowns. Honestly, half the fun of the boss fights is the cool outfits you unlock afterwards. As for weapons and equipment, the system is limited but functional. You can assign up to 8 items and weapons in each category, and realistically, you'll find a couple of go-to favourites and never touch the rest. For me, it was the Mark 22 Hush Puppy tranquilizer pistol and stun grenades. I barely touched lethal guns because, well, it just doesn't feel right in Metal Gear. Non-lethal feels truer to the experience. So yeah, no technical issues broke the emotional impact. The real impact in Snake Eater comes from the storytelling, its characters, and those big sweeping cutscenes. The clunky menus and awkward controls are frustrating, sure, but they don't rob the game of its heart. If anything, it's just part of the Metal Gear DNA, slightly messy, undeniably unique, and strangely charming once you push through. Replayability in Snake Eater comes down to how much of a completionist you are. If you want to unlock everything, all the camos, all the weapons, the stealth camo by collecting every single frog, then yes, you'll definitely have a reason to dive back in. And with the New Game Plus letting you carry over all your gear, it's tempting to keep pushing for 100%. You can also crank the difficulty for a real challenge. On the hardest mode, if you're detected, it's game over, brutal. But hey, if you've mastered the third-person camera from the remaster, it's a lot more manageable than it ever was with the old clunky top-down view. Value-wise, I'd say the Master Collection gives you a solid deal. On PlayStation or Steam, you can grab the full Volume 1 bundle for around £50, or pick up each title individually for about $16. But the bundle is stacked. You're getting 7 titles, 2 graphic novel style videos, and access to digital books. That's a lot of Metal Gear for your money. If you're only after 1 or 2 games, the individual route makes sense, but for fans or newcomers wanting the full saga, the bundle is worth it. Now, would I revisit the world just to experience it again? Honestly, I already have, multiple times. I played the original release to death, and then again when it was part of the HD collection. And now here we are with the Master Collection. This latest run was driven by nostalgia, especially with the announcement of Metal Gear Solid Delta. And while it was worth it for a trip down memory lane, I think I'm satisfied now. The next time I step into Big Boss's boots will probably be with Metal Gear Solid Delta. That said, I'm itching to replay Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2, and desperately trying to get my hands on Metal Gear Solid 4 again. Sadly, that one's still locked away, just rumours and whispers of a potential return. Did the game leave me wanting more? Absolutely. Not more of Snake Eater specifically, I feel content with this playthrough, but more of the Metal Gear saga in general. Kojima's storytelling, for all its quirks and complexities, just pulls you back in. And let's be honest, if they dropped Metal Gear Solid 4 tomorrow, I'd be on it instantly. So, what stuck with me most after finishing Snake Eater again? Honestly, I'm just sitting here happy in a little bubble of nostalgia. The storytelling is excellent, even if some of the dialogue does lean into some of that cheesy cringe zone. But the gameplay holds up enough to be satisfying. Even with the occasional clunky mechanic, made me question how 14-year-old me managed to beat the game without throwing the controller out the window. Maybe we were just better gamers back then. Did it meet expectations? Yes. It did. Replaying a game from your childhood is always risky. You never know if the memory is better than the reality and whether you should have just left it sealed in that good old days box. But in this case, I'm glad I went back. Each boss fight felt unique and fun, and even when some of the mechanics feels dated, the creativity shines through. Would I recommend it? Well, it depends. If you're a returning fan who wants an excuse to replay it, here I am, handing you that excuse. Fire it up on the Master Collection or the HD Collection, or if you want to go full vintage, dust off that PS2. But if you're brand new to Metal Gear, honestly, I'd play the remake. Some of the design is dated, the mechanics don't really stand the test of time, and you'll probably enjoy Delta version more. What does it do better than other stealth games? It's Kojima. Love him or hate him. The man tells the story like nobody else. Sometimes weird, sometimes brilliant, always ambitious, and Metal Gear Solid 3 is still proof of that. Now, on my personal rating scale, this one lands in try it on a sale. I know that feels a little harsh for a classic, but unless you're a long-time fan, the dated mechanics and odd pacing might throw you off. That said, if you can snag it individually on a sale or grab the full Master Collection bundle, it's definitely worth dipping back into the jungle. And that's where I'll leave today's review. All great things must come to an end, except for Kojima's cutscenes, which just don't know how to. I'll be back next week with something brand new. If you like this review, consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing for more. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay stealthy, and don't forget to pack your Mark 22 Hush Puppy. Bye! And look who decided to join me for today's review. Are you tempted by Metal Gear, Dotty? No? Okay.